I'm going to start with Mr. Caruana. All right, so one of the biggest things in this race is about creating jobs. We want to know, how will you create job growth in the community?
Excellent question. One of the biggest problems I run into going door to door, and I know people have experienced, is that kids went to college and they got a degree, but unfortunately that degree doesn't get them anywhere. What we need to do at the city level, the city government needs to act in partnership with schools, small schools like CUNY, St. Joe's, schools that are small in nature, and then companies, and design programs specifically for jobs that companies need. This way, a student knows going in, he's already on a job plan. We don't live in the day and age anymore where you can get a liberal arts degree and just hope everything works out. And I think what we can do is that there are employers out there, we need them to work with our schools, and that's how kids from these neighborhoods get jobs. All too often, and people come from all over the world to come into New York. So even if a job gets created, say in Maspeth or somewhere else in Manhattan, it's not our kids that are getting it. So we need to have a program now. A lot of our students, people in this neighborhood, they go to schools like John Jay, like CUNY schools. We need to foster that. In addition, we have to stop over-regulating our businesses. Unfortunately, my opponent, the incumbent, supports the new bag tax. That's just an extra regulation you have at the grocery store and that our small businesses don't need. We need to reduce regulation on small businesses. To start certain businesses, do you realize you have to go to 7 different government agencies? That's not an incentive for people to come here. That's what we have to look, how to streamline it so it's easier to create more jobs in the area. Reducing regulations, making sure that students from these neighborhoods get jobs. That's what I'll work on when I'm in the city council.
Councilmember Crowley.
I could use this opportunity also as a rebuttal because earlier my opponent said what he said clearly amounts to him not knowing how government works.
It'll work better when you're out of it.
If I may, please. As I mentioned earlier, I've been able to bring back hundreds of millions of dollars in capital projects for this district. And I would like to talk about, not only does improving our infrastructure benefit the quality of life of the people who live in the district, it also provides jobs, good construction jobs. Now, let me tell you a story about Little Village, IS 87. 10 years ago, they were promised an extension. For 10 years, the community said, "Where is my extension?" It never was put in the capital budget. I had to organize with the school community and force the DOE and the school construction authority to build that $20 million extension.
You are finished.
When the J train was going,
wrestling match here. Okay, let's get back on point here. This is for Councilmember Crowley. This is kind of a follow-up to what we asked Mr. Caruana earlier. This is in regards to a specific project within the Community Board 5 area. Last year, at the January meeting of the Middle Village Property Owners Residents Association meeting, you mentioned you're working to jumpstart a project that's been stalled for about 20 years. It's the reconstruction of streets in southern Middle Village, south of Metropolitan Avenue, north of Cooper Avenue. The project entails sewer reconstruction, roadbed reconstruction, repaving, the whole 9 yards. Would you provide us with an update as to where you are with that effort?
Sure. First, let me finish my statement that I had earlier.
Hold on, everybody. She has 2 minutes. However she decides to use that 2 minutes, it's fine. Just know that when the buzzer comes up, you're done.
Just a correction, this is a 3-minute period.
3 minutes, excuse me. Sorry.
The earlier question was bringing jobs to our community. I never got to finish my statement. When the J train was falling off pedestrians' heads as they walked down Jamaica Avenue, and strap hangers were afraid to climb the stairs and take the J train, I stood up early on in my administration and said, why hasn't this train been refurbished in over 40 years? And because of the work that I did with the elected officials in the community, we got that $40 million project in the capital budget. A council member, put money in the capital budget. I was able to get CS 87, which is in the area of Little Village that often feels forgotten about. I was able to get a $20 million extension on that school. Now those kids have a better opportunity for education. Flooding has plagued the community for far too long. I was able to jumpstart a project in Middle Village that will make it less likely for flooding to occur when we have serious rainfall. The money was in the budget. It was scheduled to be done in 2015. I was able to get the DDC, the Department of Design and Construction, to move that project, and right now they are working on the sewers. Help is on the way.
It's fitting that the incumbent would ignore the question about Southern Middle Village. I actually just had a meeting. I actually just had to have a meeting with about 15 residents of Southern Middle Village. I live across the street from 87. I can tell you, we haven't been getting the representation we deserve. And if we did, I wouldn't have had to have a meeting with people on my block who didn't even know I lived there to get their concern, I have to get their concern addressed. We haven't had...
Councilmember Crowley, please.
And this is the thing, they're literally just afraid to hear what we have to say. That's why they have to interrupt. We have sewers that need cleaned out. We have some simple things, like a stop sign on 79th Street and 67th Drive. It doesn't take a miracle worker, just a basic council member to pick up the phone and get a stop sign where there's been car accidents before. And look, if the incumbent had been doing their job, I would have had to have a meeting. People wouldn't have had to reach out to me. This race wouldn't be as competitive as it is, and you wouldn't be here tonight.
Everybody, settle down. Settle down, please.
I welcome the opportunity to talk about my...
Councilmember Crowley.
My vision for...
Councilmember Crowley, you're out of line. Thank you. I'm not taking sides. You just have to be within your time, and you're not in your time. Next question. Next question. Next question, sir. On the campaign trail, this is for Mr. Caruana. On the campaign trail, you have talked about improving constituent services if elected a city council member. What specific plans do you have in mind toward achieving that goal?
For starters, when I started working in the Pentagon, I realized process matters right away. There's so much.
We're doing a real job.
Apparently, work serving the military is not a real job for the incumbent.
So were you getting paid?
Excuse me. Councilmember Crowley, please. Councilmember Crowley, please stop.
If she would like to know, I was a GS9 on the government pay scale. That's 4. As I was saying, when I started working in the Pentagon, you have an unbelievable amount of things coming at you. And process matters, and separating priorities from the stuff that, can be handled by someone else, that's what you have to figure out. So immediately when I take office, I'll establish a process for my staff so that we can turn over constituent services quickly enough. We have already created a list on an Excel spreadsheet of local problems we have heard from just regular people going door to door. It could be a low-hanging tree branch, it could be power lines that haven't been fixed in a long time, it could be stop signs, it could be a speed bump in front of their home or school. It's a list, and we're going to organize ourselves and make sure we go down it, and that's going to be a priority. And as council member, I'll take the time out of the day to make sure it got done. And when it doesn't, I'll call up whatever city agency I have to, call up whatever constituent I have to, bribe whatever staff member I have to until your needs are met.
Councilmember Crowley.
Creating good jobs. This community not only needs more capital projects, but we have a lot of businesses that need the help of the city. Unfortunately, under Mayor Bloomberg, the Department of Health and Consumer Affairs has been taxing our small businesses. I've been able to help pass a Bill of Rights for business owners, so they know how the city can actually be helpful and help them grow, because small businesses are the backbone of our city, and they create nearly 70% of the jobs. I have a plan to strengthen our business improvement district and also our industrial business zone. I also would like to see improvement in access for women in terms of health care. You know, I recently had a woman who came to my office with stage 4 cervical cancer. She did not have health care. We were able to get her the health care that she needed to save her life. She lives in Middle Village and she relies on it. Over 30% of the women who are pregnant do not get the health care they need right here in the district.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, this segment is supposed to end around 8:30. So panelists, would you like to continue? You see the questions we have for our next round?
We're on time. It's 8:30.
Okay, very good.
We're good. Yeah.
Move on to round 3?
Absolutely.
Okay. In round 3, which will last approximately 20 minutes, we will have questions from the audience. These questions were submitted on index cards. The panelists have them, and they will be selecting from those questions to ask the candidates. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer, and in this segment, there is no rebuttal period. And we're going to try to get to all the questions based on the amount of time we have, so as many questions as possible. Once again, it's about 20 minutes in this segment, no rebuttal period.
I'll go first.
Okay, we'll start off with Rob. Thank you.
The audience has a chance. You could ask both candidates a question, or they could ask the candidate a separate question. I have 2 split questions. Mr. Graziano and Mr. Laguerre have questions for both candidates. So I'm going to start with Mr. Caruana, because apparently there are 3 people in the audience who know something about a wage issue. This is one question here that was submitted on a card. While working for the Republican Party, you researched minimum wage policies in Ohio, and they recommended that against raising it above $6.78, what would your policy be in New York?
I have no idea the preface of that question, where that came from. I think New York, it costs a lot to live here, and we need a living wage to live here. That's the reality of the situation. There's no way anyone deserves to live on $6 an hour. There's no way I would support that. I think that we need to have a living wage in New York. Unfortunately, the cost of living has skyrocketed in Queens. Queens is in Ohio, it's not Texas. It's a great place to live. A lot of people come here, and as a result, it's very expensive. As a council member, I'll always look to reduce the cost of living anywhere I can. That's why I want to reduce the fines on small businesses. That's why I want to bring more jobs to the area.
Okay, now, this is a question for both, submitted by the anonymous, I guess. So it says, I'm a small business owner in Middle Village, and I constantly have loitering by my neighborhood thugs. What will you do to help stop this? It has affected my business negatively. We'll start with Councilmember Crowley, please.
That hasn't been a problem that has been called into my office. So if anybody has a problem with people loitering in any area, what they should do is they should call the local police precinct. And that's how you get people, if they're blocking the sidewalk or the entrance of a business, they're not legally allowed to do that. If it's a problem for the business owner, then it's a problem that needs to be addressed by the local law enforcement. So I would suggest calling the police department. If they have trouble getting through, they can call me, and I will reach out to our local police, 104 or whichever precinct it is.
The question was for both, so Mr. Caruana, please.
Hey! Rally!
When someone has someone loitering in front of their business, that's harming their livelihood. And you need a councilman to take it as seriously as if their own livelihood was being harmed. I'll fight hard for you. We'll make sure whoever it is locked up. We'll get them off the street. We'll get them off the street, and we'll have them, and we'll get that business to make sure they have consumers. They have consumers, and they're growing their business again.
Next question?
So this is a question for both candidates. Despite the posting of no truck signs on Furmanville Road by the cemetery, it has become a major thoroughfare for commercial traffic and extremely dangerous. What would you do, what can you do, what would you do to stop this? And Mr. Caruana, why don't you go first?
Road safety is incredibly important. Where possible, we need to have different street signs and enforce the laws we have. If not, though, when they're breaking them, we need to get with the trunk company. No, it's not going to be enough just to ticket them. They just throw the tickets out. We have to make sure the companies are being fined themselves. We have to make sure that they're the ones, that there's some sort of suffering taking place, or if not, we're just going to keep getting, our concerns are just going to keep getting ignored. As a council member, I'll take these concerns seriously. I know right now on Cooper Avenue, they have a huge problem with the flow of traffic that's coming down, with people speeding, with trucks coming down, with extra noise because of Atlas Mall. That's something I look forward to working with as your councilman. And in any area of the district that has these problems, I'm going to hear you out and we're going to figure out a way to solve the problem.
Councilmember Crowley?
For many years before I was elected, there was a good man named Frank Principe who was so frustrated with the trucks in Maspeth that he helped put a Maspeth bypass plan together. One of the promises I made when I ran in 2008 and was elected to the city council was that I was going to take those trucks off the streets. And we were able to put together a comprehensive plan with the Department of Transportation, and we were able to pass with the community boards the Maspeth bypass plan, which has taken thousands of trucks off Grand and Flushing Avenue. We were also able to make sure that Flushing and Grand Avenue, the local streets in Maspeth, were not used as through streets. That means that if a trucking company was making a delivery in Brooklyn and they were frustrated with the traffic on the LIE or the BQE, that they could not get off just to take our Maspeth streets. And if they did, and they broke the law, that they would be penalized. We've worked with the 104 precinct, the 108 precinct, and the DOT to make sure that any truck driver breaking the law gets penalized. And then they have to see the judge and pay the fine. And then they don't go back because they don't like paying the fine or they'll lose their job.